everybody, to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishioza.
My name's Asher Hire.
We are back. I think our schedule is now just every 2 weeks. I feel like that's just what we're going
Yeah,
with so far for the
yeah.
semester. But we're back. We got a lot to talk about. The Denver Nuggets officially on the repeat track. Preseason started this week. Training camp started last week. A lot to talk about there. We'll talk about the Broncos as well. They lost last night to Kansas City. Weird game, but we'll talk about what happened then and what potentially holds in the future for them in terms of their players and trades and whatnot. But our main thing that we're going to talk about, as we were talking before we started recording, the ESPN list that came out and their top 100 rankings. I think they asked experts on who they think would be the number one player at the end of the year. Uh, Spoiler alert: Jokic is not there, but I think we'll start with preseason. Denver played Phoenix on Tuesday. They played Chicago last night, 1-1. Last night was a weird game, double overtime preseason, which is just
Yeah.
incredible sicko behavior. But through your first two games, what stood out to you? What have you been paying attention to in those first couple games?
Um, I mean Julian Strawther for sure stood out to us in the Phoenix game. We are very interested to see like how he would perform at the NBA level because Hunter Tyson performed really well in the summer league. And Jalen Pickett kind of has more of like an NBA play style, I guess. More suitable for the NBA than Strother does, but he was fantastic against the Suns. 20 points, including he was on a heater in the third quarter. I think he had like 15 points or something in the third. Just raining threes. So that has really stood out to me. His quick release, his ability to like find the open spot in the defense and just kind of gravitate to being open for three and that quick trigger. He doesn't need much space. And then I've also been paying attention to Justin Holiday, and I've been really pleasantly surprised with Holiday. It's basically like him and KCP. I can't tell who's who. Like
Yeah,
they kind of both, which is awesome because KCP was phenomenal last year. And if Justin Holiday can come in and be a guy like that who is good on the perimeter and knocks down his open threes, I think that is massive, especially for the bench that obviously lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. I think Justin Holiday has looked better than Jeff Green did during his entire time in Denver. So they might have upgraded there. Um, that's been awesome. And then the last thing that stood out to me is Jokic shooting a lot.
yeah, yeah.
He went 8 for 10 against the Bulls. I think he's taken how many shots has he taken through 2 games?
The two games,
Uh,
he's taken 21 shots through 2 games,
21 shots through
and
2 games, and
last
he's
last year through 2 games he took three. So
there you go. And he's only playing 18 to 20 minutes right now. So you never know with Jokic. Maybe he's just doing that for the heck of it, and then he'll go back
yeah,
to more dishing it out in the regular season. But hey, if he's putting up that amount of shots, I'm here for it. He had 17 points in 18 minutes against the Bulls. Um, and yeah, he looks amazing. So really, those things are what stood out to me. Strother looking good, Justin Holiday looking good, and then Jokic shooting the ball a lot.
yeah.
And then I
I
noticed in the Phoenix series, sorry, Aaron Gordon looks phenomenal rebounding the ball.
yeah.
He was everywhere in the Phoenix game. He had 7 rebounds in 13 minutes. I feel like 5 or 6 of them came within like the first 5 minutes. So, um, yeah, I've been happy with how they played.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the starters. Obviously, we haven't seen Michael Porter Jr. With his ankle thing, but they say he's moving fine. It's just precautionary. Same thing happened with Jamal Murray last year. Played in one preseason game, then he got injured in the second one. He didn't play the rest of the time. I'm sure they're holding him out to like the last game. Yeah, starters have been good. I'm right with you on Justin Holiday. I think he's going to be a day one player if he's the natural replacement to MPJ, and natural replacement both in play style and just next up on the depth chart. Um, I think he's got a chance to play day one. But Julian Strawther is making that hard. It's gonna make it a hard decision. I don't think you can play both of them at the same time. Um, so you're probably gonna have to choose. The way Strother's shooting it though, I mean, man, he like the first game against Phoenix was a lot of off ball stuff. Is coming off of screens, coming off pin downs, um, catch and shoot, coming off of of like a dribble handoff, stuff like that. But this last game was a lot more on ball and breaking people down and shooting step back, shooting off the dribble threes. So you're seeing the versatility in his game that we didn't really get to see a ton in summer league. So it's really good to see that. And yeah, I the thing that stands out to me most about him is how fast he gets the shot off. Like his
Oh
feet
yeah.
are set immediately, and he gets the ball off immediately. Like it is instant. Like it's unbelievable. He's always shot ready. I've never seen. I don't think
Yeah.
Denver has had a player like that where they're so shot ready and they'll shoot it no matter what. Like MPJ, I mean, he's a big guy. It takes him a little bit to get loaded, but when he shoots it, he's always open because he's so big. But Strother always shoots it, and he's always open because he just gets it off so fast. Um, yeah, same thing with Justin Holiday. I'm really pleased with him. I was gonna say him and KCP, they look the exact same. They have really similar play styles. If Holiday's able to keep that up through the regular season, I personally would have no issues with seeing him on the court that often. Um, and yeah, Jokic. I mean, last season, I feel like we all knew that he was going to take it a little slow because of how many new people were there. The only guy who was there in the starting lineup was Aaron Gordon from the previous season. Everyone else was new. Murray didn't play the whole year. Porter basically didn't play the whole year. KCP was new. Like he was using the preseason and the beginning of the year to just get them all involved. But now everyone knows what to do, so he's just kind of doing his own thing. And who knows? Maybe this is the year of volume Jokic, and he'll just average 30 a
Maybe.
game.
I know. Imagine he does just because why not? Because obviously
Imagine
he
he can.
can't.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean
I'm
maybe
I'm
if he
really
averages 30, ESPN will put him number one. Um
yeah, maybe averages 30 and then gets gentlemen swept in the first round. That'll be
yeah,
enough.
exactly. There you go. And
And then he
just,
gets moved.
has 7 turnovers in like the fourth quarter and just loses to the one. Yeah. Maybe they'll put him number one. But anyways, yeah, another thing, like this Nuggets team is just built completely like differently to how it was built 2 years ago with Conley.
Yeah,
The amount of wings that this team has compared to like short guards, like the only like short guard that has really been playing is like Colin Gillespie and Pickett. Um, and other than that, it's just a bunch of wings, and that's what we've been hammering on ever since we started this podcast like 3 years ago. It's just like we need wings. Um, and we have him. Julian Strother is like 6'5", 6'6", and his defense on the perimeter has
yeah.
been surprising to me. Um,
Much better than summer league. He's cutting through
oh
screens. He's
yeah,
getting in front of guys way better than summer league.
yeah. And then obviously Justin Hall. It's just so much length like to deal with on the perimeter with KCP, Holiday, Gordon, MPJ's not even in there yet. But even like Hunter Tyson's like 6'8", great rebounder. Peyton Watson. I mean, Julian Strother, Zeke Naji. It just keeps going on. Even Reggie Jackson has a long wingspan. Um, so yeah, I mean, I love how Calvin Booth has completely transformed this team into being more of a modern, basketball team instead of having 5'9" Facu Campazzo out there. Um, NBA is definitely shifting away from smaller guys. Like you just want these freaks on the outside, which makes it tough for like average people now to make the NBA. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're looking for 6'5" and up and big wingspans, and the Nuggets have a plethora of players like that. So um
yeah.
that's
The
awesome.
the only two guys on the roster who have full time contracts who are under 6'5" are Jalen Pickett and Reggie Jackson. That's it. Colin Gillespie's listed at 6'3", but that's a lie. That man is not 6'3".
Oh yeah,
Um, Reggie Jackson's listed at 6'2", and I'm like 99% sure he's taller than Colin Gillespie. But regardless, even counting two ways, they only have two guys or three people under 6'5". And that 21-22 team, the year we first started this, oh my, it was just only short guards. That was it. Um, Short
yeah.
guards and who are also bad defenders. But now they have guys who are good defenders, guys who can hold their own. Wings. It's a complete turnaround. Calvin Booth. I had my doubts when he first came in, but literally one off season after, I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah,
We'll let him cook.
no, that's yeah, been awesome. So yeah, through 2 games, Nuggets 1-1, but starters have looked great in the preseason. I guess
Bench is
we can get into this ESPN list if unless you got
well.
anything else on the Nuggets.
I was gonna say that I am a little worried about the bench because I feel there's right now there's 7 guys who are penciled in the rotation spots total. So starting lineup, and then I think Reggie Jackson is pretty penciled in, and Christian Brown. Outside of that, it's up in the air. We don't know what's if it's Justin Holiday or Julian Strawther. I feel like Peyton Watson is still kind of a toss up. He's probably leaning towards playing, but he's definitely not a lock. And then we don't know if it's Zeke Naji. We don't know if it's DeAndre Jordan. So, and I don't think that any of the actual bench guys who they've played in those first stints in these first 2 games have really solidified themselves into playing outside of Strother. Um, and I don't think Reggie Jackson has really helped his case that much. I think he's played fine. He's looked more like Reggie Jackson when he was on the Clippers than the limited time he played in Denver last season. But yeah, the bench I feel like is going to be a real issue, and this is what I was worried about after the offseason. Yeah, obviously losing Bruce Brown is big. He was your 6th man, and he was one of the best players on the court in the finals. But it's more of the fact that they just have so many young guys who aren't used to playing, and you don't really know how they're going to react to it. It gives me it's really similar to how Golden State approached last season. After they won the finals, they lost a lot
Yeah.
of veteran guys, and they were forced to play younger guys, and it did not work at all. I mean, their bench was one of the worst in the league. I hope Denver isn't going in that direction, but I feel like we're in for a really rough bench here. Hopefully, I prove
Yeah,
you wrong. But I'm
yeah,
worried.
we're for right. Zeke Naji was great in the Phoenix game. He had 17 points and his shot looks better. But yeah, this game against the Bulls, 5 fouls in 14 minutes, so he like barely played, and then had just didn't really do anything while he was in there.
He
3 points.
got abused by Andre Drummond. Just
Yeah,
abused by Andre Drummond. Which I mean, most backup bigs are gonna do it, and Zeke isn't a real one, so like it made sense. But I mean, I thought he didn't give really any effort at all again on the boards.
yeah. Again, like only 2 rebounds in 14 minutes, and that's kind of been his thing, like injuries and just the rebounding concerns, and then obviously the 3-point shot falling off, all accumulated into riding the bench pretty much all of last year, especially towards the back half when he got hurt. But um, yeah, that definitely could be an issue. I guess the good thing about having like a real championship contending team is hopefully in the buyout market, hopefully there'll be some players that see that there's a need right there and go in and try to fill that need and like compete for a championship. Because we always see players, buy out, going to the Warriors or the Cavs, when they were good. And so yeah, hopefully that can happen. We still got the trade deadline too to try to add. So I don't think this is definitely like I don't think it's the final roster at all. And we always see like roster turnover. Um, that's kind of unexpected in the season that ends up playing in the playoffs. So, yeah, we'll see, but
Yeah.
could definitely be a concern early for sure. All right, top 100 list. ESPN came out with a couple days ago, like they always do each year. I guess it's a projection of how the players are going to play this
Yeah.
season. But like Zion Williamson is like in the 50s, so that doesn't really
Yeah.
make any sense if they're projecting, if they're supposedly projecting, but Zion Williamson is just not in the top 50. I don't know. I guess they're just projecting him to be injured the entire year again, but clearly when
They
he's
have John
playing,
Morant. They have John Morant at like 36,
yeah,
which
yeah,
I mean, when if he's playing, he is arguably top 10. He's not 36. So
yeah. Kyrie Irving is at 34. I don't really like Kyrie, but 34 I think is kind of disrespectful for him. I feel like he's probably, top 25, top 20 range. Um, and he came out and said that he doesn't care, but then he wrote like 2 paragraphs on why he doesn't care about the list. So maybe he really does care, but I don't know. This is only supposed to be for the fans. Obviously, the NBA players shouldn't care about this. This is just something to talk about. Really, the fans shouldn't care about this either, but it's just something to talk about. Um, and it influences a lot of casual fans out there because they think ESPN, you know, has the top analyst analysis for any sport just because they're the biggest. So it's big time. It really is big time. And it's garnered a lot of social media, talking points. The Nuggets have 4 players on the list with Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter at 68. I think Aaron Gordon, what was he like? What is
Like
Aaron Gordon?
90, like 94 or something.
Yeah, yeah. Which I mean that's kind of disrespectful too,
Yeah, that's
but
also really
um,
low. After the playoff run that he had,
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
like I mean he played every single role. He was in what was it, game 3 or was it game 4? I think it was game 4 where he had what like 26, 27 points. He was the number one scorer. He took the number one defensive matchup. He was a backup center as well. Like
Okay,
he
this
did
is this.
everything you could possibly ask for. I don't know how
They
he's the
actually, they
94th best
actually,
player.
they did give Gordon his respect. He's at 51. I thought he was at
Oh,
like 90 something too, but he's at
oh, okay,
51.
okay.
MPJ's at 68.
Good,
Jamal
good.
Murray at 17, and then Jokic. As we scroll down this list, I guess we can like go through the top 10. Um, and then kind of just like break it down from there. But 10 was Anthony Davis. Respectable ranking. I definitely turned it on with the Lakers after he got hurt last year. Shot a career high in field goal percentage, rebounds per game. Dominant player until he faced Jokic. And then LeBron James at 9. Um, Oldest player in the NBA is insane that he's still in the top 10.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think this is a good spot for LeBron. Uh,
yeah, I do
good,
too.
yeah, good that they didn't, just automatically put him in the top 5 because it's LeBron. This one was pretty surprising. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander at number 8. Um, yeah, he's I don't really like mind the ranking because I think he's extremely good. It might be a little too early considering we haven't really seen him in the playoffs at this caliber of player that
Yeah,
he is now. And there's some holes in his game I think that could be exposed in the playoffs. Just he's one of those high usage guys who puts up a ton of points. But I think his playmaking could be better in the playoffs, and then his defense is a little like concerning as well. But number 8, that is where Shea Gilgeous-Alexander
that's
is
pretty
averaging
high. I'm
31
because
points a
he's
game.
above. I feel like this is one of them where that is like a projection that they think he will end up as the eighth best at the end of the season. Which I mean, that's if that's where if that's what you're judging it off of, fine. But if you're judging it off of last season, yeah, he was first team All NBA, but I don't think he's better than some of the guys behind him. I don't think he's better than Anthony Edwards. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I feel like Anthony Edwards, especially from what we have seen in the playoffs the last 2 years from him, I feel like he can hold and carry a number one, a number like hold and carry the number one option more than SGA. And I don't think he's better than Booker either. I think Booker
I mean, like, is
is
he better than Jimmy Butler?
I don't know. Like
I
it's
don't
so
know.
weird. Like some of the players, like it's hard to judge, and I feel like it is hard to judge when they're not on a really good team. Like take Devin Booker for example.
Yeah.
When the Suns were bad, people didn't really have him ranked that high. But then once they started to get good, then he started to do the same. Even though he was putting up the same numbers, it was just he had a better supporting cast around him. I feel like that's kind of where SGA and Anthony Edwards are at. It's like because I'm able to see Anthony Edwards more in the playoffs with a better supporting cast, I'm gonna think he's better rather than seeing SGA with a bunch of young guys and not really that great of a team. So I don't know. I don't know. Personally I would take Anthony Edwards, but it's also because I've seen him in a better situation. So I don't know. But I like
Yeah.
8 isn't awful. It's not awful.
Yeah, it's not awful, and I kind of like the like bold take, I guess, from them. But yeah, I think like you just need to wait a couple years and just like see how he does in the playoffs because that is definitely something I learned going through this entire playoff run. And the Nuggets only played 20 games, which like 16-4 in the playoffs. um, is pretty insane. Like usually it'll be like 25 games. Um, it's a whole nother season. Like 25
Yeah,
games is more than a quarter of the NBA season. Um, and like the intensity is just, some players rise in that intensity, some players fall, so you just don't really know for players who haven't been in there. Um, and so yeah, the playoffs now are like extremely important for me in terms of like ranking players.
yeah,
Um, because obviously, as we've seen, there's players, as I said, I mean, Joel Embiid, comes to mind at first of, in the playoff in the regular season, he's averaging 30 something points, and is the MVP. And then he goes to playoffs and he's a liability offensively, like literally a liability
yeah,
on offense. Um, and so, yeah, I think those should go more into the rankings because it's a whole nother animal, the regular season compared to the it's really like the regular season. It feels like how the preseason is right now, like compared to the playoffs.
yeah.
Like preseason compared to the regular season, and regular season compared to the playoffs. Um, so yeah, moving down, Kevin Durant is at 7. I think that's a fine spot for him.
Yeah.
As definitely, I think his age was is catching up to him a little bit now. Um, just
Mhm.
not as explosive with the ball in his hands, really more like strictly an off the ball player. And he's probably like one of the best, maybe the best just off the ball shooter
Yeah.
in the league. So I like his spot here, and his defense, I think, has gotten better as he ages too. So
Yeah. It's been really weird. I mean, the amount of injuries he's had to still like it to just now have the age start to catch up to him and the athleticism start
yeah,
to diminish is really, really impressive. He's taken great care of his body. Yeah, the defense, ever since he went to Golden State, his defense has been way, way better. Um, and it's still, even holding up. I really think the Beal acquisition is going to help him more than anybody because it'll allow him to just rest and not have to take on as many tough assignments as before. Like last year, he'll probably still have Aaron Gordon, but he's not going to get doubled nearly as much. Uh, he's not going to get hunted. Like they're not going to attack him so hard on offense. So I think the Beal acquisition is going to help him more than it'll help Booker, just because it'll help him keep his body way more fresh for that time of the year.
right, right, yeah, for sure. All right, number 6, Jason Tatum. Um, I don't know. Like, would I take Kevin Durant over Jason Tatum at this point? I mean, it's tough because they're both like two different players. As I said, like KD is strictly off ball nowadays, and Jason Tatum is pretty much just all on ball. And so they're two different players. I don't think I can just like choose 1v1. Like it depends on the team, where my team is at. So yeah, Tatum is at 6. Do you have anything to say about that? I feel like that's pretty much where people have him.
Tatum's hard to judge because,
Yeah,
like, statistically, he does play really well in the playoffs. Like, he does have a very good track record, but he will have a bunch of games where it's like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? And in late game execution, like, I would take KD over
yeah,
Tatum. But I mean, defensively, he's incredible. He is still clearly able to be a number one option on a championship team. I feel like 6 is a good spot for him, but like you could put him as high as probably like 4 or as low as like 8. Like there's a
yeah,
decent
yeah.
range for him to be, and I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely those games where he's just chucking up threes, and it's like really not fun to watch him or the Celtics play at all because he's just doing these 1v1 step backs and bricking every single time. Like he has games like that, and then he's got games where he makes a lot of them too. So yeah, it really depends on the game for him.
I mean, it's
And
like
it's
like
tough to
game
judge.
6, like game 6 versus Philly. He was awful until the fourth quarter, and then he turned it on.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
game 7, he had what 51, 50, like he had a record in game 7. Like that's
yeah,
just what how Jason Tatum is in the playoffs. He's really, really hot or he's really, really cold.
yep,
It seems like he's more hot than cold, but I don't know. The inconsistency makes it hard to judge.
yep. All right. Number 5 is Steph Curry. This is another guy where like you could have him at 3,
Yeah,
at 2. I might have him at 2. Um, or you could have him, at like 7 or 8 if you think like KD and Tatum are better than he is. But that'd just be a crazy take. But yeah, Curry at 5 I think is a little low for him. I mean, he was phenomenal last year, like 32 points a game. Oh wait, this is 2021, but um yeah, I mean he's still the engine of that team. I think the Warriors are kind of like sleepers this year, considering that they pretty much still have like the same team from 2021 or 2022, but no Jordan Poole, and then you replace them with Chris Paul, and but they still got good size on the perimeter, especially in the starting lineup, which is still phenomenal. So I think the Warriors could be a big time threat this season. Um, and I don't know. I think Curry's better than 5th in the NBA.
I do too. I would probably have him at 3. Honestly, I think I'd have him at 3. He's like the player I fear most in the NBA in
Yeah,
terms of like just ability to take over a game because he hits two threes in a row and you're just like, oh my god, like you can
here it
feel
comes.
the
Yeah,
floodgates. You can feel them about to break. Um, and especially in the playoffs, like it's just ridiculous. Every shot he hits means so much. It's insane. I would probably have him at 3, especially after last season. I mean, he really, really had to carry that team. I mean, coming back from injury, he was great. Playoffs, he was phenomenal. I mean, what 50 in Game 7? His Game 5 against Sacramento was really, really good. Um, he was like the only good player on the court for the Warriors in the Lakers series. Um, so yeah, I would have probably have him at 3. But if you want to argue him at 2, like that, you could do that. You could argue him at 4. You could do that. He has a decent range as well. I'd probably have him at 3. I think 5 is definitely low for sure though.
yeah. I'd have him over Luca at this point, which Luca's number 4. Um, Luca's just tough too because it's just like another one of these ball dominant, extremely high usage players that like does these step back threes, and if they're going in, he's gonna blow everybody out the water. But like he does only shoot like 33% from 3. Um, and he misses a lot, and then the offense gets stale, and then obviously defensively he's nothing. Um, when he's on fire, I mean, obviously he's like had an insane start to his career, like statistically. Um,
Yeah.
and so when he's on fire, he's insane. Um, so I think four is a good spot for him. But yeah, I want to see him in the playoffs again, uh, to really like have like a good feel for him.
Yeah. This is a big year for Luca. Like this is a huge, huge year in terms of perception of the fans because last year wasn't good for him. Like he was injured more than he normally is, but the Kyrie trade, everyone was expecting it to work and it completely backfired. And a lot of that's because they gave up a lot of their depth to get Kyrie. And I think they did regain some of that in the offseason. I think they did a good job in terms of building around them. But if his defense isn't better, it doesn't have to be great, but if his defense isn't better than it was to start his career, that's an issue. If it looks like the pairing of him and Kyrie isn't working, that's an issue. And yeah, he has to get to the playoffs and continue. He's been a really, really good playoff performer throughout his career, to be fair,
Yeah,
but he's got to be able to prove it and keep doing it. Um, yeah, I mean, I think 4 is a good spot for him. I just don't.
I
The
do
people
too.
above him and the people below him, I don't think are correct. I think
Yeah.
the guy above him should be below him, and I think the guy below him should be above him. I just think those two are flipped, and I think the top 5 is correct.
Yeah, I agree. And then yeah, obviously number 3 is Joel Embiid somehow. Because if we go back to number 17, which is Jamal Murray, like the little description that they have of him, um, is just strictly playoff based. Like they're like, oh, he's a big time playoff performer, averaging 26, 7 and 6, whatever it was. Uh, so like that's why he's at 17. Which like if you look at his, I don't think he was a top 17 player in the regular season. I don't think he's ever like been that in the regular season. But they have him at 17 because the playoffs. And then you like scroll down the list and Joel Embiid is at 3, and you're like, how is that like correlate at all? Yeah, I don't know. I know he won MVP, but I'm taking Curry, I'm taking Luka, I'm taking Giannis, I'm taking Jokic. Like I could have him beat at like at 5, or he could even be at like at the same level as Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
Um,
he could be at like 6 or 7. Like if you want to take Tatum or KD over it, if you I mean, what you play to win the championship. You play to get to the playoffs and give yourself a chance to compete. Tatum outplayed Embiid. Embiid barely even does play in the playoffs. I mean, the team has closed out multiple series without him on the court. Like, I don't know how I don't know how you can put him at 3 after the playoff run that he had. I know he was injured, but that you got to take that into account. Like he isn't ever healthy for a playoff run, and it sucks because he is very talented. And when he is healthy, he's incredible. I mean, he had a game last season where it was like what, like 60, 12, and with like 8
yeah,
assists and
yeah.
7 blocks or something ridiculous. Like he can put up these insane stat lines, but he can't. He doesn't elevate at all in the postseason. It's not like he stays the same. He drops a significant amount when you get to the playoffs. So I don't know how
Absolutely.
you
And
can
I
have
think
him
like
over Luca or Steph right now.
yeah, yeah. I feel like this is like a interesting like discussion. I've seen, people on whatever Twitter, real life like debate it if like being clutch is like a real thing. Like is there such thing as like clutchness, or is it just, oh, he's a good player who's been here a million times and he'll just show up? Like especially in baseball, I think it is where it comes in. Like, is there really such thing as a clutch hitter in baseball, or is he just good and he
Or
just
hitter.
came up with a hit right there because he's good? It's kind of like, is there a clutchness in basketball, or did he just make the shot just because, he's a beast? I think there is I think there's a mindset, a mentality. I think some players show up in the clutch, and other players, you know, duck down in the clutch, and are unconfident. And I think when you think of the playoffs in a whole, the playoffs are just like being clutch in the regular season, or like the last 5 minutes of a game in the regular season, but the entire game you have to be clutch. And yeah, Embiid has never really been great in the last like 2 minutes of a game, um, like efficiency wise, and he's never been great in the playoffs. And like, yeah, you go to 7 games against Boston, but remember, like after Game 6, Embiid's the one that they blow. Embiid's the one that's throwing all his teammates under the bus in the press conference, and then he comes out in Game 7 and goes 5 for 18 with 4 turnovers, and he's a -28. And I don't know how you can see that and say like, yeah, he's a top 3 NBA player, because when the time matters, I'm taking, yeah, 4 or 5 or 6, 7 players over Embiid that I'd rather have on my team in the playoffs. Um, as you said, great player, terrific defender. I think his defense goes up in the playoffs. I think
Yeah,
he's extremely
yeah, I see
valuable
that.
on defense, but yeah, offensively, he just kind of turns into a liability. He settles, he gets frustrated, and then stops trying. Ultimately, is what it looked like in Game 7 of that game. Um, and so yeah, I don't think he's the greatest like culture setter too. Um, so yeah, top 3. All right, let's read this. And this says Embiid's path to the number 1 ranking. Um, so his path is, yeah, winning a championship. That's literally all it says.
Yeah.
They wrote like a whole paragraph just to say win a championship. Um, and I mean, yeah, that's true, but like at this point, he hasn't proven he's been anywhere. He hasn't been anywhere close to that. Has not reached the conference finals, in a pretty weak Eastern Conference, these past this past decade. So, um,
And it's harder now. It's like infinitely
I
more harder because
I
the two
know it's
teams ahead of him just reloaded and got way better at when in Philly his second star is wants to leave and wants to like burn the organization to the ground.
yeah,
So
yeah,
not
but
not great, not great.
um. All right, so yeah, Embiid is number 3 on the list. Number 2, okay, let's say number 1 first. Number 1 on the list somehow is not the guy that like just won the championship in like I don't know, but it's Giannis, who just lost in 5 games to the 8 seed, which I know they're always like, oh, but the 8 seed made the finals. Like that's why Giannis actually didn't lose to that bad of a team, but then like Jokic beats that team extremely comfortably in 5 games. Um,
Yeah.
so like I don't know like that argument. The Bucks lose in 5 games to the same team that the Nuggets beat in 5 games. Obviously like the teams are different. Giannis was injured, which is when they won their only game. Is when Giannis
Yeah.
didn't play.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, game 7 against Miami, they had a 15-16 point lead in the fourth quarter at home. And I believe Giannis went like 1 for 8 from the field or something like that. Um, and yeah, choked the game away. So
He
I,
missed
I I don't
he
understand the
missed
reasoning.
he missed 14 free throws in that game,
Yeah,
in game 5. In the closeout game at home, he missed 14 free throws. That like come on. That we just talked about Joel Embiid going 5 for 18 and not showing up. Four, 14 free throws you miss in a game where you lose by 2? Like come on. Like,
yeah.
that
I
that
mean,
alone should be enough to where okay, you cannot put him number 1 after that
like you
performance.
talk about a liability. I think in the fourth quarter, Giannis just watching that Heat series was just like if Giannis gets the ball, you're not scoring. It's either going to be a turnover or it'll be a missed shot, which he still tries to take these mid range and 3 point shots, and they're just like ugly to watch. Um, or he goes to the free throw line and makes one, at best, usually. And people bring up, Giannis's success in the playoffs of the finals game, winning the finals, that 50 point game, right? That they always bring up, but like really he got to 50 because he went 17 for 19 from the free throw line, which is a once in a blue moon occurrence. If he goes what he went against Miami the entire time, which is like less than 50% from the free throw line, you know, that's like a 40 point game, which is still great. But do they win that series? I don't think so. I don't think they win that series unless Giannis goes a miraculous 17 for 19 at the free throw line. Um, when we've seen throughout his entire playoff career that he can't make free throws. Um, do I think he'll be better with Damian Lillard though? Maybe this is what they're projecting is that Damian Lillard is going to help out Giannis on offense, which I could see. Um,
I could definitely see it. Definitely see it because I Damian Lillard is such a more offensive, like infinitely more of an offensive threat than Drew Holiday was. Drew
yeah,
Holiday had his moments offensively. I mean, specifically, I think of Game 5 against Phoenix in the finals. Like he was incredible in that game. But he doesn't really have them often. Damian Lillard does have those often. Like that is his average is having like 30 and 7 in the playoffs. Like that's who he is. So having him next to them is so important. It'll open up the floor way more. It'll make sure that Giannis has more space when he does want to take those mid ranges and does want to take those floaters in the lane, which he is one, like I'm not exaggerating when I say this. He's historically bad at those shots. Like he's one of the worst finishers in the NBA at them. But maybe having Dame and just having less pressure to finish at the rim the entire time will help him. I think it'll definitely help the offense as a whole. And hopefully it's a trickle down effect for Giannis as well. I think it's that's a if they're projecting Giannis or Dame to help Giannis offensively, sure. But still, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't think I still don't think you can put him 1 after last season. I don't think you can. I cannot fathom like judging last season and putting him 1. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah. And I don't really know how they like came up with it. Like I don't know if it was just like a who would you rather take between Jokic and Giannis, and more people voted Giannis, or like how they came to this decision really. But it really like makes no sense because Jokic is just obviously like the best player in the NBA. Like there's no argument for Giannis really at this point. Um, I mean, I don't get it. Jokic 30 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists in the postseason for his averages. 10 playoff triple doubles. Nuggets go 16-4 in the playoffs, win the finals comfortably. And he's just number two after the guy who goes number one only plays five or he played like three playoff games, but his
Two and a
team
half.
only survived five. Yeah, yeah. Um,
I don't get it. Like I do not understand. Like and to the people's argument who says that like, oh, Denver, they had a weak run. They played playoff team. They played play-in teams. Like, okay, first off, they played the highest seed they could possibly play the first two rounds. They played the eight seed. Everyone seed plays the eight seed, and mind you, Giannis lost his eight seed, and they played the four seed, which is the highest they could play. After that, they have zero control over that. You cannot have any argument on they played lower seeds because clearly the higher seeds couldn't beat them. So why are you judging Jokic unfairly like that instead of saying why didn't that team win? Like clearly they weren't better. Clearly that's what the playoffs are all about. It's about okay, that team wasn't better. Like Golden State wasn't better than LA.
yeah,
Sacramento wasn't better than Golden State. Memphis wasn't better than LA. That's just how it was. Denver can't control any of that. They beat who was in front of them, and who was in front of them was teams that beat higher seeds. So I don't know how you can say that they played three play-in teams. That's why they weren't bad. Okay, well those play-in teams beat the other ones. Like I don't get that argument. That is the stupidest argument I think I've ever heard in terms of trying
yeah.
to discredit.
I mean, some of these Milwaukee fans like are like creeping into that territory where it's like, oh, like the Philly fan territory where it's like I don't know if these people are like real or not. Because the arguments that they like make just like make absolutely no sense. Um, so I mean, like you just I like all right. Let me try to find one right now. Um, oh, these guys are saying that the Nuggets fan base is like that the championship enabled one of the worst fan bases to like talk a lot, but like the thing is the Nuggets fans have been completely right. Like since 2018, like we've just been completely right. We're like Jokic is better than this player. Okay, that's correct. Jokic is better than this player. Okay, that turns out to be correct. You know, without Jamal Murray, obviously the Nuggets aren't going to do anything in the playoffs. That turns out to be correct. And then, with Jamal Murray, I think we beat the Suns. That turns out to be correct. And then like, oh, with a fully healthy team, this team can win the championship. Boom, there you go. 16-4 in the playoffs. Like we've been right every single time. Um, and so I don't know how like we're one of the worst fan bases for like being right. It's mostly just having to like talk to these like Embiid fans, or now Giannis fans, where it's like, okay, you actually absolutely make no sense. Um, but now because we like argue with you back and like our takes turn out to be right, it's like, oh, we are not the ball knowers. The ball knowers are the ones who think Giannis is correct, I guess, or is Giannis is number one, which makes no sense. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
You could this list you could really see who the media darlings of the league are. Like
Yeah,
Giannis is definitely a media darling, and it's partially because he is like a nice person. He's never rude in interviews. He always takes interviews like when reporters ask, and as we know, it's always hard to get in touch with athletes. Like it is really annoying to have to go through a ton of stuff. He makes it like it makes sense that he's a media darling, but I feel like that plays into it. Like people just like Giannis more than Jokic as a person because Jokic doesn't open up to anything. At least in American media and Serbian media, he does all the time. He'll do interviews. He has a gambling sponsorship in Serbia. He has a energy drink sponsorship. He does commercials all the time. Like he just doesn't
yeah,
like the American media. So I feel like that
yeah,
they're using that against him. Whereas Giannis really embraces that part of it. And to each their own. Like it's just how they choose to live their life. I'm not judging either one for it, but it's just that definitely plays a factor into it,
yeah,
which is
for
annoying
sure.
because it shouldn't.
Yeah. Especially like yeah, with the way that Jokic like treats the media. Like they asked him, I saw he was getting hate for this answer. Like they asked him if his life has changed since the championship, and he's like, no. And like he got hate for that, like as if he just doesn't like basketball. I don't know how winning a championship like changes his life like day on a day-to-day basis. I don't know how it's supposed to change, but um yeah, and I guess like people are just absolutely convinced that he actually doesn't like basketball, but I guarantee you if he didn't like basketball, he wouldn't be averaging triple doubles in the finals. So this is
That's
what
such a stupid. It's such a stupid, like, people are legitimately convinced. We as fans will say it as a joke. It's like, oh, he doesn't like basketball and he walks in a triple double. Obviously, he likes basketball. And if you just take your eyes out of America for 2 seconds, you'll see that he actually loves basketball. He can see, like, he will consistently talk with EuroLeague teams. He'll consistently scout EuroLeague games. He'll give them advice. When PJ Dozier signed with a Serbian EuroLeague team, he immediately told him, he's like, okay, you like this, you like this. The coach is like this. He'll do this. He'll do this. Like, he had told him everything to know about the the club, the organization, the culture, everything, because he likes basketball. He just doesn't like the American way of going about it. And
Yeah,
after the finals, he had an interview with a Serbian news outlet, and he was saying, like, he was opening up to them. He was talking about why he doesn't celebrate that much. He's like, I'm so focused all the time that I just can't get out of that mode. So
yeah,
when I'm in that mode, I don't like to let up for even a second, even when we win, because I'm just I can't. He can't do it.
yeah,
If you were like a decent human being and just tried to connect with him on a level outside of basketball and on a personal level and talk about him on the team side of things, then you'd get to know these things. But I think American journalism is just cooked in that aspect. We only, in terms of big media, they only think about the personal aspect and the one-on-one aspect rather than as a whole. And I think that Jokic is completely different about that. I think Denver is completely different about that. I think that's why they're a special team, why they have a chance to be a dynasty, is because just as a whole, they're just different than the rest of the league in terms of the way they go about themselves and the way they go about basketball.
yeah. No, I agree. And even like Justin Holiday has said, he has come in and said like this team just runs differently than any other team he's been on. Like there seriously is no ego or anything like that, which is like kind of concerning to me. Like with regards to like other teams, it's like, damn, is like really every other team just like just ran by this guy who has an insane ego. Like sometimes I think like the players just say what they want to say on press conferences just to get like, big time views. Like they'll say some controversial thing or be like, I'm him, and boom, there you go, 50,000 likes on Twitter. Like I feel like they just kind of say that, but I guess they really do carry that, get that into the locker room. Um, which is kind of like, yeah, that's kind of nasty, I guess. So like James Harden probably does act like in the locker room, like exactly like how he acts like to the media, which is just not pleasant. So yeah. So this is why Giannis's ranking was unchanged according to Jamal Collier, who wrote this little thing on Giannis. It says Milwaukee's postseason could have gone much differently had Giannis not suffered a back injury that sidelined him for most of game one and all of games 2 and 3 in the Bucks' first round loss to the Heat. So that means he played in game 4 and 5. And what happened in those games? They lost. So I don't know how it
After
could have
having
been
double-digit leads in both.
in so I don't know how it could have been like different, considering that they won the game he played in and then lost all three that he won the game. They won the game that he didn't play in by 16 and then lost all the ones that he did play in. I don't know about that one, Jamal, but and then Ohm writes for Jokic, his path to the number one ranking. Okay, because there's still, I guess, so much that Jokic has to do to get the number one ranking. He still has room for growth. If he can improve his defense and perhaps be more aggressive with his shot, a second straight championship will come to Denver, and he will finally get the number one spot in the NBA rank. So,
That's what he has to do to get one. He's got to go back to back, be more than 30 points per game in the playoffs, and
yes.
also be an elite defender. He has to do all three of those things. What?
So yeah, I guess his defense is still a concern to these people. And they just want him to be more aggressive. So they just want him to completely change up like how the Nuggets won the championship. They're like, nah, fuck all the playmaking, just shoot. Like what? I don't know. That's ESPN for you. Yeah, whatever. You can't really take anything into account what these guys say unless I get hired. Then take into account everything I say. Um, so yeah, there's the rankings.
That's so
Jokic
funny.
comes in
That
at 2. I still just don't believe that. Like when I woke up, that morning whenever this came out, like 2 days ago, and I saw like Jokic too. I thought it was like a fake thing or something from last year because I like genuinely didn't believe that because I think the gap between Jokic at 1 and Giannis at 2 is like is big. I think it's
It's
pretty.
big. I think it's I don't think there's an argument. Like I really don't. I don't
Yeah,
get how like I understand that we watch Jokic. We watched every game that he had last season. We watched every game in the postseason. We've been watching him for 5 years now. We see his improvement. We know what he's about. We can't say the same about Giannis, but neither can the national outlets. They don't watch small market teams. Milwaukee is still a small market team. They don't watch every game of his. They don't watch every game of Jokic. They just see what they see on highlights and they see what they want to see, which is, I guess, way more scoring and it's way more individual stuff and not actually contributing to winning. Which you can't
yeah,
like not say that about Giannis because he does contribute to winning, but it's I don't know. I don't get it. I really
yeah.
don't. You like you said, Nuggets fans have always been right in almost every single one of their statements. I
Like
guess we'll just have to
I'm
wait.
trying to think of like, okay, when was it like when were we wrong? Like maybe I was wrong like for thinking that Jokic could take a couple games from Phoenix without Murray. Like maybe I was like wrong there because I wasn't expecting to get like swept by Phoenix.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I don't know.
I
I
think
don't think it's like been
I
a
think the
take
only
where it's
time
like
we were like really wrong was I don't even think it was that was I thought Gary Harris like could legit be an all
bad.
star.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like that was the only time, but who knows if he didn't get injured? I feel like he
I
was
know. I
on
thought he was
track.
like a top 10 shooting guard at one point. Um, for sure. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
I feel like that might be the
um,
only one.
maybe like Bones, like us just thinking Bones could be like him on the bench, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Because I was never really completely sold on Bones. Um, yeah, I don't know. Dude, my take turned out to be right about just dumping Bones. I remember talking about it in the trade deadline. Just like get rid of him. Like don't you I don't even like want anything for return. Just get rid of him and it'll make the team better. And it literally happened. So I feel like yeah, I don't know when the last time like we've been wrong about the Nuggets is. So yeah, I don't
I'm sure
really
like
know.
internally we've been wrong about like roster stuff like Bones. I feel like, but in terms of grand scheme of things, where you're talking about if they're better than this player, if they're winning championship or not, I don't know if we've ever actually been wrong. If I'm being quite honest.
I know it sounds so like egotistical to say, but
I
like they
know.
won the championship, like and Jokic is the best player in the world. I mean, that's all we've been hammering on like the past since the bubble. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, unfortunately, that takes us away from Nuggets talk, and we got to talk about this football team. Oh wow, I clicked on football on ESPN and it brought me to soccer. Um, True. All right, there's the NFL tab. Yeah, Broncos lost 19-8. Classic. Broncos are 1-5. Mahomes is now 12-0 against the Broncos. Um, which like is absolutely embarrassing, but I think the Broncos have actually played Mahomes well like throughout his career.
Yeah.
Um, which is like interesting considering he's 12-0, but against the Broncos in his career, he's got 9 picks, should have been 10 in 12 games. Passer rating of under 100. And so really like they've held this Chiefs offense down pretty well. It's just especially in the past like listen to these, since 2020 Mahomes against the Broncos, 95 passer rating. In 2021 he had a 57 passer rating, 184 yards, no touchdowns and a pick, and 15 for 29, and he still won. And then a 93 passer rating, and then an 86 passer rating, and then 106 against the Broncos in January of last year, and then 94 passer rating this year. And when you look at his, average uh, passer rating in his career, it is what is it? Damn, why is this so hard to find? It is 105. So like he's been below average against the Broncos in his career. by a lot, really, and he's still 12-0. And that's just simply because the Broncos haven't been able to score on their defense since he's come in the league. And it continued last night. Unfortunately, I wish it was I think it could have gone a lot differently and a lot more fun if it was a Sunday game. But yeah, I was definitely not expecting to win this game at all. And yeah, it was just a boring game.
This is this is the first game I've been able to watch all season because I work on Sundays during NFL, so I've just been able to like watch the score and like just see what everyone else is saying. And I was like excited. I was like, "Oh, it's fine. The offense is good." Like last 3 seasons, I've just been wanting to bash my head in with a brick watching the offense suck and the defense just having to hold on against these incredible offenses and the offense not do anything. I was like, "Oh, at least I can see us lose in a different way, right?" No, I have seen this exact game I think 19 times in the last like 3 years.
I don't get
I'm
it.
not
Doesn't
kidding.
doesn't matter the quarterback, doesn't matter the GM, doesn't matter the coach.
No, it's the
It just
same.
don't
It
score.
is the I don't it's the same every time. It's the
I
same
know.
game. I don't know if I'm a curse on this team. I don't know if I can just never watch another game again. I saw us win the Super Bowl once, and I guess the universe said that's enough. It's enough joy.
Dude, the most exciting game we played was that game at Denver when with Drew Lock, and I'm like, man, I wish we had Drew Lock. And that game that they really should have won until Melvin Gordon fumbled his ass. It's always something, bro. It's just something that just happens. This time it's Russell Wilson throwing 2 interceptions. Um, and, and one of them, like we were driving down the field, of course it gets tipped in the air and they catch it. It's like, dude, every single time we play this team. And then obviously there should have been that interception. It didn't turn into like points when they threw that flag for the Chiefs, but we would have had way better field position.
Yeah,
And they threw that flag because it's the Chiefs. So yeah,
it's
but
just bad, man.
offensively,
It's just bad. It's just all around.
95
The
yards
team is
for
just
Russell Wilson. Um,
95 for a full game. I what? How many passes did he throw? What 20? Was it 21?
22,
Like you
22.
can't win a game only throwing 22 passes. You got to do more than that, especially if he's only having 95 yards. Like the play calling was really bad. Like it was awful. The like on third down on short yard situations when they threw, they'd have like two receivers go out. They would not
Yeah.
gain any separation, and then it was on Russ to do something insane. And it's like what do you want him to do? Like those weren't his fault. The first interception was his fault. That was bad. The second one was tipped. Like the receivers were not creating any separation
Yeah.
at all. Like I don't understand what people wanted him to do. At least in terms of last night's game, I can't speak on anything else. Yeah, did he play good? No, he was not good. But I don't understand what else he could have done.
Yeah.
It's just the team needs a full rebuild, a full teardown from top to bottom. You can't hold on to anything. I think Patrick Surtain is the only guy. He's like the only non-rookie I would say who are like, yeah, I keep him. Everybody else I feel like is fair game. Honestly, if you're not a rookie and
Yeah,
you're not named Patrick Surtain, your name is fair game.
absolutely. Yeah, Sertan played phenomenally. He had that great effort on that run by I forget who it was on the Chiefs. It turned out it was like a penalty. Andy stepped out of bounds, but he was running all the way, and it looked like it was going to be a touchdown. Oh, it was of course it was Jerick McKinnon, dude, because he always just has this huge play against the Broncos. I bet a anytime touchdown for McKinnon just because he always like has one against the Broncos, and he almost had it right there. I was like cheering. I'm like, go, 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 because the game was like out of reach at that point. And then all of a sudden, Sertan comes flying way off the screen, like out of nowhere, comes in and tackles him short of the goal line. So yeah, great effort there. I thought Simmons had a fantastic game. He had that interception, but also like a great tackle in the backfield, one of those plays, and then was just kind of flying around everywhere, which was cool to see. And then like the edge rushers, I thought Jonathan Cooper played well. Zach Allen had a sack, which like whatever. It was just I could have had a sack on that play. Nick Benito, he's been fantastic this year. So I mean, there's some like promise there with the young edge rushers and the young secondary. I think McMillan is actually like pretty good.
Yeah, he
Um,
showed. He should have had an interception on one of the
yeah,
passes. He batted down, but he tackled well. He covered well. Uh, I think like the young pieces are good. I think the young pieces you can move with like Cooper Bonito were good. I thought Ronnie Perkins. I'm not gonna lie, never heard his name before, but I thought he had a good game. He had an offsides penalty that was pretty crucial. But outside of that,
I
I
had
thought
no
he was.
idea he was on the Broncos. I only remember him because he was like good at Oklahoma. I guess he was drafted by the Patriots and then somehow spawned his way onto the Broncos and then was playing. Uh,
I thought he played fine.
yeah,
I thought he was good. Um, I thought that. Yeah, I thought. I mean, Damari Mathis. I've heard he has not been great this season. I didn't think he was awful yet. He had a couple plays where like, what in the hell is happening? But
I thought he
he
was good
wasn't
though
like.
overall. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, there was
overall
that
he
one
wasn't
play.
bad.
There's that one play where he just completely avoided Mahomes and like ran into the blocker instead of trying to tackle Mahomes. But he's been a solid tackler overall. And then like outside of the past outside of the first 2 or 3 games where he was really struggling in coverage, like he had that terrible game that he allowed to Jacoby Myers, and then um, another receiver I'm blanking on had a huge game on him. But since then, like I feel like he's been pretty good, and the Broncos offense or defense uh hasn't been terrible, especially in the red zone. I think they've like shut out the team like 13 straight times. I've denied a touchdown anytime a team gets into the red zone, like the past 13 red zone trips. Um, so that's good to see. Uh, Man, there's that Montreal Washington fumble, which we're used to seeing, but on Kansas City side this time, and of course it bounces right back into his hands. Um, so yeah, Jerry Judy, after talking all that talk in the pregame, 3 catches, 14 yards. I might be done with Jerry Judy.
I think it might be time. My brother texted me last night. He's like, "What do you think about potentially like Jerry Judy and a late round pick trading for Trey Lance?" And I was like, I think the
No.
idea is okay, but you got to get a little more back. I don't know how much value either of those players have right now, but I feel like if you get a pick back with Trey Lance and it's like a second or a third or something, you could consider it because then like you could just say, oh, okay, Russ. Like if you're like 1-8 or something, you could be like, all right, Russ, just oh no, you have a sprained ankle, and then you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
Trey Lance go and maybe you find something. Maybe Sean Payton can figure out something, but I'd rather just get like a second or something for Jared. Whatever someone wants to give something for him, I feel like you got to take it at this point. Like I don't know. I think he's so talented, but I think it's just I don't think it's gonna work in Denver. I think Cortland Sutton wants to be in Denver. I think he can work in Denver, but he probably has to go. He's too expensive for what
yeah,
he's been producing. Tim Patrick is so unfortunate the fact that he got injured because I feel like he would have helped this so much as someone who can create separation and is one of the most sure-handed players in football. He would have helped so much just have as a safety blanket because the tight end isn't that. Greg Dulcich is always injured. Adam Troutman's not good. I just,
yeah,
the team needs to tear down. Like after
yeah.
one game of seeing that, and after 5 weeks of discourse outside of that, like I just you got to take it down. You got to take it down, and it sucks.
Yeah. I mean, but it's needed to be done for the past few years.
Yeah,
Um, and I think hopefully like this is the year that they do. It does seem like Jerry Judy is not going to be a Bronco at the in a couple weeks. Seems like he'll get traded, and then yeah, it could be the same thing with Cortland Sutton. But yeah, Judy, man, it's just like I had like so much promise for him early in the career, and then he kind of like wasn't that good like his second year, and I was like, I might be off the Judy hype train. He hasn't really like gotten it back. Like that 99-yard touchdown, whatever that was against the Raiders, always sticks out in my mind of him like just speeding past everyone. I'm like, okay, this guy could be something. This guy could be something because I didn't realize his speed was like that.
yeah.
And it still is, but it's just like, man, I mean, it's just so like like uncoordinated. It feels like with him, like his routes are fantastic, but it's just his hand-eye coordination is just really poor for an NFL receiver. He still got the drops, still has like brick hands. Like it just feels like anytime he catches, even when he does catch it, it's just like that wasn't like a smooth like
It doesn't
catch.
feel comfortable.
yeah, at all. And then down the field, I mean, the only like good play he's made down the field in his career is his rookie year against the Jets, making that play. Outside of that, I've never seen him go one on one and get a ball. I mean, he can't do it. It's terrible. His effort is horrible. He's had two deep balls this year. I forget who the first one was against, but uh, terrible effort to like. He wanted the flag because a safety came in he from another angle and kind of hit him before getting to the ball. But if he had actually tried to go get the ball, he would have gotten destroyed. Like he would have been hit and he would have fallen and it would have been a flag. But instead, he like barely reaches for it, gets slightly tapped, doesn't fall down, and it's just poor effort. And then this game against the Chiefs, same thing. Russell Wilson throws it up to him. He's got a one-on-one. Like it's really a 60-40 ball because he's got leverage on the corner behind him, and he just doesn't go up strong, and it's deflected by the corner. It's like you put any of the top receivers in the league out there, even guys like even Sutton, I think makes that catch. And so it's just man, like if he doesn't have space to operate um after the catch, because I think that's his most like valuable asset is how fantastic he is after the catch. Um, like if he doesn't have space to operate after the catch, he's not that good. Because somehow he just like even though he's an insane route runner, somehow Russell doesn't see him open if he is getting open. And you're not gonna throw the ball to him in any like tightly contested uh
Yeah.
area because he's not gonna come down with it. And so, yeah, I think he's kind of done. He kind of reminds me of like Sky Moore on the Chiefs, just like a guy who'll just maybe like a Tony. He's more of like a Kadarius Tony, like but better, but like not that much better. If you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. He's like better in certain areas, but he's not better in a lot of other ones. He's
yeah,
yeah. I just think he just gotta go. I feel like everybody has to go, and I feel like a lot of the blame does have to go towards George Payton. Unfortunately, I feel like in theory and on paper he's made a lot of good decisions, but they just in practice and execution wise they have not turned out well at all. The Ben Powers was good last night, but he hasn't been great most of the
yeah,
year. Mike McGlinchey has been bad, like straight up bad the whole season, and he's one of the highest paid right tackles in football. I feel like that's another position that's just cursed in Denver. I don't think they can ever have a good one ever
yeah.
again.
Yeah, the George Payton situation's like weird because all of the signings that he made, like at the time, felt like that's a damn good,
Yeah,
move right there.
exactly. Yeah,
Like even his first year getting Kyle Fuller, late in free agency, I'm like, oh, that's a nice move right there. And then Kyle Fuller just turns out to be terrible. And then he goes and gets Randy Gregory. I'm like, I thought that was a better signing than instead of getting Chandler Jones because I thought Randy Gregory was coming off a career year. I'm like, all right, in a new place, he's about to go up. Nope, only plays 10 games. Russell Wilson, the trade for him, I would have done it too. Like back then, I thought that was a good move. And then obviously bringing in McGlinchey and Powers, I thought both were good moves too. And like, seems like every single move he makes backfires on him. And I still like Chubb trade to get that first round pick, but yeah, it really just does like seem like a curse somehow. But yeah, Sean Payton hasn't been a good coach at all this year. He had that called the timeout after fourth down, which he admitted in his press conference he did not know it was fourth down. That's a Nathaniel Hackett mistake. Um, he
Oh yeah,
just didn't know it
that
was fourth down
I need
call.
to talk about that. This his the week 5 against New York. This is the biggest game of the season for Denver, by the way, against New York. With
You had to
all the
win it.
trash that Sean Payton talked before the season, the off-season champs, the Hackett was the worst coaching job in NFL history, talking all this, and to go out and have a performance like that in the second half. Are you kidding? Like you cannot do that. You cannot do that. I don't care who you are. And like if you're like a cornerback or you're a linebacker or you're a receiver where it's not really up to you. Like if you're a receiver and you talk trash and you don't get the ball or you can't really win your matchup, that's not 100% your fault because you can't control if you get the ball or not. Sean Payton can control literally everything that happens on the field right now. He
Yeah.
is the guy. dictating the offense. He's got to dictate defense. He's dictating special teams, dictating the game, and he did all of them wrong in the second half.
All right, let me ask you this. Who do you think has been the Broncos' best receiver this season in minimum 10 snaps? 10.
Marvin Mims,
And where is he?
legitimately Marvin.
And where is he?
Don't know. I don't know.
when,
I said this last night. I didn't see him as a receiver on the field for one snap. I swear to God.
I
I don't
don't.
get it.
Who's been the Broncos' best offensive player? Minimum 10 touches. I think it's Jaleel McLaughlin, and he gets 9
Probably.
touches
Yeah,
this
probably
game.
him. It's him or Mims. Like they're the two most
Yeah,
explosive guys, and they don't get nearly enough snaps. I don't get it. Like this is when people say like, "Oh, Denver's tanking." I'm like, no, they're not. But then I look at decisions like this. I'm like, maybe, maybe it
I
is.
know, I know. I see stuff like that. Exactly. I'm like, wait, maybe they are because they're literally not playing their best players.
Like
Um,
Marvin Mims, the first like 3-4 weeks, like he had so many explosive plays with the passing game. Like he won them the game against the Bears with his what was it, like a 60-yard play, and then
yeah,
that set him
yeah.
up for the field goal.
He
I
was the
don't think
only
he's
one
caught. He
that
hasn't
did
caught a
anything
ball
in the
since.
Dolphins game too. Yeah, and uh, I have no idea. And then the tight ends, it's like, dude, Dulcich. I mean, come on, bro. He comes off the
Stay on the
IR
field, bro.
and plays like 10 snaps, and now he's straight back on the IR, most likely with that hamstring. And it's not like he's impactful, even if he is out there, which I thought he could be this year. But I guess not. Adam Troutman dropped a beautiful pass by Russell Wilson down the seam. Great. Samaje Perine hasn't done anything in his time here. Um, and yeah, this team's just what it is. 1-5. We are looking forward to the draft already in week 6. It sucks,
It's bad.
but
It's really
yeah,
bad. I'm so sick of it. Like football, when your football team is good, like life is just so much better. Like
I
it's
know.
so good. But when your football team is bad, oh my God, it is just it's like mental torture trying to watch every single game. Like I'm like kind of glad that this is the season where I don't have to experience it. Like last year was hard. There were some fun moments. Like there were some fun moments. They
Yeah,
won a couple of games. They were good in the beginning of the year. Like there was some intrigue with Russ, and like now it's just get it over with. Like just get it over with. Like this is like the
yeah,
worst, like slow, painful death of all time. Like just
absolutely.
leave
And
it
it's
alone.
it just seems like nothing like ever just falls into the Broncos' lap. Like everything does for the Chiefs. Like I know the Chiefs are a way better team, but it's like damn, they get lucky. I mean, the Jaguars like dropped like 3 touchdowns. Um, they win that one after scoring 17 points. Obviously, the Bears suck, and then Jets, they should have lost that one. Um, and then the Vikings, literally KJ Osborne doesn't look when he's wide open, and the pass goes over his head. I'm like, if you
Not
just
only does
look,
he not look, he ducks. Like he
he
literally gets out of
ducks.
the way.
Gets out of the way for the football. So Minnesota could have won that game against the Chiefs. And then yeah, this Broncos game, it's like the Chiefs are like 5-1. Um, there's like a lot of luck, and then like they're just polar opposite teams, and um, yeah, I don't know. Chiefs luck, I guess, has always just been a thing, unless I'm just like biased. But I swear it's like a real like thing. Like
It's a
everyone's
thing. I mean,
complaining
like
about the
it just
Chiefs.
happens. It happens with good teams. Like you just get
Yeah,
lucky.
it just happens. Yeah, exactly. It
It
happens with good
happens.
teams, and it happens with like the Nuggets
Jokic.
too.
Jokic said something after one of the games last season where he's like, bad teams lose games they're supposed to win, and good teams win games they're supposed to lose. Like it
Yeah,
just happens. Like if you're good, you have momentum, things just go your way. Like I don't know what it is. I truly don't know what it is, but it just happens. And Kansas City's a good team. Like yeah, they have luck, but they're a good team, and things just go their way. Same thing with the Patriots. Like it's just some
yeah,
weird thing. They're just good. Things go their way. Denver has not been a good team or organization since they won the Super Bowl, and things don't go their way. Which is
I
like it's
will.
so annoying because like how are you supposed to get good if things don't go like
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know. Like, can we just get a break? Like, can we just have a fully healthy team and just see like for like 1 week, please? Uh, and then like by the time these guys come back, it's like by the time the Broncos are healthy, the season's already over. Like, I'm excited for Baron Browning to come back, but like, am I now? Like, I don't really care.
Like what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Um,
I don't get it.
yeah, it sucks, but Denver sports. That was the episode. The Avalanche also started and they won. So that was good to see. I think the Avs are very good this year.
Even without
Rockies,
Landeskog, they got
no real
Chance.
Rockies news
Yeah,
as
nothing
always.
yet. Yeah, baseball news. I mean, these playoffs have been really good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really, really good. Been enjoying this last game. I did want the Braves to win. I'll say I'm a Braves bandwagon at least when it comes to the postseason because I really like the team. But I don't know. Philly just got their number.
At least LA losing gave me a lot of happiness. Like
I did
seeing
too.
LA lose gives me like the same amount of happiness as like a Broncos win or something.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was that
that
was
was awesome.
awesome to see. Yeah, that was just like it just brought me so much like gratification and just like yeah, that was
That was fun.
beautiful.
That was fun. Like
But of course,
you're
it's like it
for the
has to be a
Diamondbacks.
division rival too. Like it has to be the
I
Diamond.
know.
Like, bro, it's not like I'm a Diamondbacks fan either. I hate them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I don't like that. I still have beef with Archie Bradley. Like to this day, I have beef with Archie Bradley, but I have much less beef with them than I do the entire Dodgers
Oh
organization.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I like this team now. Like I never really liked that D-backs team. Like I didn't really like JD Martinez or like I mean Goldschmidt was cool, but whatever. I didn't really like him just because he was too good, I guess. But
it's really
this
good.
team's
Yeah,
actually like fun though. I think it's like Tommy Pham I don't like, but the other guys are pretty cool.
Corbin
Um,
Carroll's dope. Ketel
yeah,
Marte's dope.
yeah, I love Cattell
Little
Marte.
Bello, after seeing his like locker room speeches, dope.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Um,
can't complain. Can't complain. Definitely rooting for them over Philly.
oh
Although I
yeah,
do like Philly. Like I do. I like Bryce Harper. I'll say that. I don't know if I like Philly. I like Bryce Harper.
yeah. I don't know if I want those Philly fans to have like happiness, but um, I would take I really wanted the Twins to win.
Yeah.
Um, I hope the
I mean,
Astros don't win.
yeah.
I'm really blanking on the fourth team. Who's the other team? D-backs,
The
Astros, Phillies, and
Rangers.
oh yeah, the Rain. Okay, I'll cheer for the Rangers. I'll cheer for the Rangers. I don't want a
Honestly,
division
anything except the
rival winning.
Astros winning, I'm fine. And even then, like I don't really care that
Yeah,
much. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
affect us that much. But it's just like they're just annoying. Like it's like the Patriots at this point where it's like, okay, we get it. You're good. Calm down. Let's
yeah. I
let
know.
some other teams.
The Astros are actually crazy. Like 6 straight years in baseball to reach the ALCS.
That's tough. It's hard. Like most teams after winning the World Series don't make the playoffs the next season.
I
So for
know.
them to have this much
Baseball is
sustained
just so
success
like yeah, yeah.
is crazy.
And
It's
like
crazy.
this season, like Altuve was hurt. Their catcher is bad. Bregman was hurt. Jordan was hurt. Like they're going through all this stuff. Their pitching staff obviously isn't as good as it's used to being. With their guy Garcia going on the IL with Tommy John.
Yeah.
But Javier's been amazing. And their bullpen is just always locked down, it seems like. But yeah,
I mean, Verlander still shoves. Like getting him back was huge. They're just good. Like I don't hate them. Like I hated the Patriots watching football. Like I
I kind of
legitimately
respect the
despised them.
Astros. Yeah.
Yeah, I respect them. I have a deep respect for them because like it is so hard to do this. It is so hard to do. So
Yep.
yeah,
I mean,
but as
the Rockies haven't done it for 1 year in their existence, and the Astros have done it 6 straight. I mean that, yeah, it's wild. And it's not really like the Astros like went after huge free agents or anything too. They just kind of built it.
no,
I mean, their
no, they
pitching they
really
did with Garrett Cole and Verlander, but like, yeah, their hitting guys have just been there the entire time, like through their organization. So, um, I think that
you
just
gotta
about
respect it.
yeah,
You gotta
I think
respect
that pretty much does it though. Pretty much
it. It
a
is.
full Denver episode. A lot of talk about. Um, I want to get one done before the regular season starts. Like get like a standings prediction done
Yeah,
type of thing, awards
yeah.
prediction. So that'll probably be the next episode. Whenever that is, but it will be before the start of the regular season, hopefully.
Before ring night. It's crazy, dude.
Yes.
We get a ring night.
Yeah. I
So
wish I could go, but yeah, would be cool.
stuck here. Oh, yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for us. We will see y'all next time. Peace.
Yep. Peace.